Hey guys, can you see me? Am I close enough? Here we are. We're in a Hop On Brewing Tour van with Josh. We're going to drive around, see some stuff. We're going to get the lowdown goss on how Josh runs tours, and then we're going to stop in at Precinct, have some beers, and finish off the interview. How does that sound?
Sounds amazing.
Excellent.
ABV is proudly sponsored by Convoy, Bintani, Craft Punks Canning, and Rallings Labels and Stickers.
Hop On Brewery Tours, how long have you guys been doing this?
So April of 2025 will be 9 years. So we started in 2016.
That's a solid effort.
It is a solid effort. Yeah, it started as a really kind of, I don't want to say unsteady operation, but a very small business where we were still learning the ropes ourselves.
Yep.
And now I feel like we've grown into something that quite a few people recognize. It's always nice when people meet me and they go, oh yeah, we've heard of Hop On Brewery Tours. So yeah, so almost 9 years. Can't wait to get to 10. Brew another beer. Are you gonna
have a party? Yeah, like what do you do for your birthdays?
Yeah, for our 5th birthday we brewed a collaboration beer with Black Hops and one with Milton Common.
Nice.
And so we had a bit of a party, but unfortunately our birthday happened to fall during one of the Queensland lockdowns, and so we didn't really get the chance to fully celebrate.
Yeah.
I was actually waiting for the results of a COVID test.
Oh no.
So the night that we had our party at Milton Common, I didn't get to go. So yeah, 10th birthday, absolutely. We're gonna hopefully do a couple collaboration beers. So we'd love to do maybe 2 in Brisbane, maybe 2 on the Gold Coast, and just kind of spend a week or 2 celebrating our success.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a tour guide in Central America for about 2 years. So I would run groups of 18 people on tours that would start in Mexico and go as far south as Panama.
Yeah, nice.
So they were modular tours. So you could do 1 week up to 7 weeks.
Yep.
And I would do 14 weeks in a row. And then I'd fly back and start over and do it all again. And yeah, that's how we met. Matt was on tour and I'd quit my job. I was running my last tour and stayed on for a bit longer than anticipated, and then he bought me a ticket to Australia.
and now here we are.
And now here we are. So he and I are going on 15 years. So yeah.
So you guys drink a lot of beer, like you love your craft beer.
We do.
Why tours? Like, did you not think about getting into the industry, or you sort of thought what you could do to help the industry? Or
it was a bit of what we could do to help the industry.
Yep.
We spent a lot of time going to beer festivals. That's kind of how we got into it. So early days of beer and cider, going down to the Esk Beer Festival down in Tassie. That was actually the very first one that we went to. After getting out of our respective jobs, we knew we wanted to get into the industry. You see the same faces at the places, the same core fans, I guess, that you see at every festival, and you'd see the same faces behind the stands serving the beer. And it just seemed like a really cool group of people.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be some of the cool kids, is kind of how it came about. We knew that we wanted to support the industry and teach people about beer. We didn't know exactly how we wanted to do that. Our initial idea was to open a bottle shop, so we wanted something like St. John Craft down in Launceston.
Yep.
And then we looked into it, and of course you have to have a different license. If you're doing that in Queensland, you have to have a full hotel license, and that was just way more headache getting the license, and of course a higher investment initially in terms of like refrigeration and leasing a space. And most people know this story, but we were down at Port Macquarie and there was a beer festival, and the van for Dave's Brewery Tours was parked out front. So Dave's runs in Sydney, and he'd been going for a couple years when we saw that van, and we thought, oh yeah, brewery tours. We like talking about beer. We like learning about beer.
Yeah.
And so we kind of took that idea and just searched, and nothing like that was happening in Queensland. And that's how it came about. We came up with the name. Matt came up with the name, full credit. Came up with the logo on the drive home, and that was it. Registered it about 3 weeks later. I think we registered the business. And took a few months. We didn't run our first tour until April, so it took about 6 months of building the website and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, people always ask me why we do this, and I kind of half joking, half serious say, well, I like telling people what to do, and I like talking, and I like beer, so it all seems to work out. I get to tell people, don't drink that, that's crap, drink this instead. Here's a local alternative.
You've got like pretty set tours now. Did it start like that, or is that just how market demand has come about, or the relationships you've built with different breweries, and you obviously going there all the time too, you start to know how those businesses run and what they can offer to your tours as a business.
A little bit of all of that. So when we started in Brisbane, there were only 6 breweries, and so that was pretty limiting in terms of what we could offer our guests. So we had those 6, that a few in the city, and then a few like Bacchus and Olin that sat a little bit further out. So we'd kind of make that our go-to and try and rotate those as much as possible just to share the love. And then as more breweries started to open up, we wanted to include them as well. And so that's where we kind of got our Eastern tour, our Northern tour. So for a while they were just kind of outliers of like, oh, our Best of Brisbane tour, but we'll go up north or we'll do this. So as we started to see more of those pockets, with like Happy Valley and Fick and Olin and Aether kind of in that northern area, we just made that its own tour. And that's been good because people from, say, Southside Brisbane who never go north, because there's this weird north-south divide in Brisbane, they're like, oh, I never come to the north side, and it gives them the chance to explore that. But there is also a little bit of knowing what people have on tap and wanting to showcase that. So if we know that somebody has got a really special, I don't know, like a Martzen or something that you don't see a lot of, you'll kind of arrange the tours so you go, okay, this is a really unique style. We want you to try it and incorporate that as well.
And you want to try it.
And we want to try it.
You've been talking a lot about Brisbane breweries.
Yeah.
Like, is that where the main market is? Like, are you taking a lot of Gold Coast people up to Brisbane? Or
we never take Gold Coast people to Brizzy, and we never bring Brisbane people down to the Gold Coast, with a few exceptions, like if you're in the industry. I think we probably focus on Brisbane simply because that was our first market. That's where we started. Yep. When we opened up in April of 2016, the only brewery on the coast was Burleigh. And so once then Balter opened in May, and then we had Black Hops open in June, we were able to create that Gold Coast tour. Yeah. But I think the demand in Brisbane is slightly different. It's got a bigger population, of course. You've got more breweries to choose from, and it's not quite as transient. Yep. So Gold Coast, you do get a few people that are visitors that want to check out the scene, but a lot of people come to the Gold Coast for very different reasons than that. You know, they want to go to the theme parks, go to the beach, all of that. So we probably see more of our business is centered in Brisbane. Yeah. But Gold Coast has exploded over the last few years. We've got the likes of Precinct, you've got Lost Palms, you've got, Tap That just opened not too long ago. All sorts of things. So it's been fantastic for us to be able to see that expansion. And some of our favorites, you've got Matic, and you've got this opportunity to showcase Belgian beers, which you can't find anywhere else in Queensland. So that gives people a really different opportunity.
Speaking of beer, how about we head back to Precinct and have some?
Sounds great.
Finish the conversation there.
Sounds amazing.
Perfect. About, like, you talked about like licenses and all the things that you need to get. Like, do you guys need an RSA, or do you need a liquor license, or like what is it? Are there touristy licenses you need? What sort of special things that you need? Like,
we don't need our RSA, but we both have it, which comes in really helpful when a brewery is slammed. Matt and I can jump behind the bar and be like, you serve actual customers, we're just going to pour our own tasters over here and get our people out of the way.
Dude, even if you cleared some glasses, like
we do always try and clear our glasses. I know you do, We'd really try.
People
I feel really guilty.
I don't think people appreciate how helpful it is just when you're busy. If that table, when they come up to order glasses, they bring like a handful.
I don't understand why people don't see that in real life.
I'm so helpful.
Yeah. No, we do try and do that. So we don't need an RSA. We have an RSA. We don't need a liquor license because technically we're not the ones serving the alcohol. Cool. There is an operator accreditation that you do need. If you ever see any tourist vehicles, they have a number on the back that starts with a Q. That means they're registered to run tours or transport in Queensland. So you have to do that, and you have to go through a workbook basically for your specific industry and get your accreditation for that renews every year. So that's pretty much it, like business insurance and all that kind of boring stuff. We didn't know any of that when we started. We didn't even know where to look to find that because nobody ran that in Queensland. And so obviously New South Wales has really different rules around operating tours. They have to have like speedometers in their vehicles to make sure they don't speed, like really different stuff. We actually reached out to the Vino bus that runs up in Tamborine, and we talked to their owner at the time, Tash, and called, and our first thing was like, we're not doing wine tours, I promise. Like, we're not going to step on your toes. Like, we don't want to do anything with wine. We said, we just don't know where to start with this. And she was amazingly helpful.
Yeah.
She was like, look, you need this, you need a public liability, this is the accreditation, this is what you need to do. So that, I give her all the credit because she was so generous with her time and sharing that information with us. And that gave us that starting point. And then we talk a lot with Josh Donahue, I don't know how to pronounce his name, from Sunshine Coast Craft Beer Tours. And so we'll exchange messages about insurance and about this, and just to make sure we're kind of on the same page and getting the best deals and all that kind of stuff.
And you all know the same stuff of what you should be doing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's always a good resource to have.
Did you need to get like a special driving license?
You have to get a DA, so driver's authorization.
Yeah,
so it's a blue license.
I've had one of those. I used to drive a limousine.
So limousine, taxi, book
careers I've
tire. Anything where you're transporting people. You generally have to get your DA.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So the government just likes to milk you for as much money as they
100%.
can.
Yeah. What's been the biggest challenge that you guys have managed to overcome? Like, has it been getting the second van? You've only got two.
We've only got two vans,
Like, was that the biggest challenge, or was it getting tours more regularly and having that you needed a second van? Like, because you would have been pushing up to a point where you're like, man, we need a second van, and how long can we survive with the one before we have to bite the bullet?
We did a bit of a build it and they will come situation where we actually opened it up to 2 tours on our website. And anytime we'd get a second tour for the day, we would hire a car. So we've got a really good relationship with the car hire place and surfers. We've had it since we started pretty much. And that's what we finally bit the bullet and looked at the numbers and we're like, okay, if we've hired a car 6 times and it costs us X amount for car hire, but our car payments would only be this plus rego and whatever, that's where that tipping point was. And then it was that push of like, okay, now how can we make sure we're actually running both of the vans at the time? I think just consistent midweek bookings is our biggest challenge. I don't know if we've still overcome that. I feel like there's not really been one big thing. If anything, it's just getting the word out there still. Like I said, that we exist. People don't think to search brewery tours in Google. People will search wine tours. Oh, they're going to the Barossa. What are we going to do? We're going to do wine tour. And the amount of people that come on tour and go, didn't even know this existed. We'll go to marketing meetings and people go, oh, are you new? Nah. We've been here for a while. We've been coming to networking meetings for a long time. Getting into hotels is actually one of the challenges that we still it hasn't clicked. And we've done that many different things with concierge groups. We've done presentations. And they always say, oh, we're looking for things to do in Brisbane and looking for things to send our clients to do on the Gold Coast. And you're like, cool. Here we are, and you offer them free tours. Come out, do a famil, see what we offer. And we've done it with a few local hotels, and they go, yeah, that's great. And there hasn't been single booking, a single recommendation. And that's really challenging, because I used to work as a travel agent, and I saw kind of the backside of that, of knowing how important it is to know the products that you sell. And I can never understand why people don't want to come out on famil and drink beer for free. And so that's something that I'd love for us to actually really crack into that market, that it's not just go to the theme parks, go shopping, oh, you can go to this beach, oh, you can go to, this really fancy restaurant in Burleigh that everybody already knows about. Because that seems to be the biggest challenge in tourism, is that continual, oh, well, here are the places that are already established, so we're just going to keep sending people there, whether it's this hotel, this restaurant, Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary, which do amazing work, don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging them at all.
But your focus is on...
but like, that's, everybody knows that exists already, and I keep harping on with tourism bodies from Brisbane and Gold Coast of like, you really need to do a better job at supporting these smaller breweries, these smaller distilleries, and us, because tourism is more than just going to the beach and going shopping and going to the theme parks. Like, if you're so desperate for these other activities, we're right here, and we still don't seem to have that regularity. So hotels, and I think that support from the tourism bodies is a huge challenge that we're still trying to overcome.
Like we just touched on your vehicle, so you got a fleet. When is it called a fleet? Is it 2 or 3? Who knows?
I reckon it's 3.
I
don't think we have a fleet yet, but we want to.
What is your capacity? So you said you got the little van.
Yep.
That seemed pretty decent size to
Yeah,
me.
so we can fit 7 people in our little van.
Yep.
And we can fit 11 in our big van. So
Yeah,
total
cool.
capacity within our vehicles is 18. But like I said, we've got a good deal with a car hire place.
Yep.
So if we have bigger groups, we can do up to 22. So 2
Yeah.
11-seaters.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
How often do you do those bigger groups where 2 buses are going? Like, do they go to the same place, 22 people, or?
Yeah, it depends. So bucks parties, birthday parties,
Yep.
absolutely. We just have our 2 vans driving behind each other.
Yeah.
Look, probably once or twice a month.
Yeah,
we'll have
cool.
something like that. Around Christmas is more.
Yep.
Like I said, we've got casual drivers, so sometimes we'll get a group of, say, 16 or 18, and we'll have 2 people running that tour, and then we'll have another group of like 8,
Yep.
and we'll have that in a separate vehicle and run that tour. So one of our casuals will just drive with us.
Yep.
And that works really well. Actually,
Yeah.
it gets a lot of people out and
Yep.
means that we don't have to say no.
Yeah.
But I think we'd like to see that more often in terms of getting those bigger numbers
Yep.
out, of course. Bigger groups are always really good.
It'd be a good corporate event.
It's a great corporate event.
Like
That's the other thing
team
that we love
building
to
and, like,
get into
social,
more
yeah.
regularly. Because it is. And corporate can usually kind of take a Thursday
Yeah.
and be like, hey, let's go do something fun.
Yep.
So we're still working on it. But I think it's that knowing where to start. Like anything, like where's that first domino fall that
Yeah.
actually gets everybody else to start booking? Because we've had great corporate groups.
Yep.
And that's led to a few branching out, kind of
Yeah.
like Bucks groups. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
take 10 people out for Jono's Bucks,
And
and
then a
then one
couple
of
of
those
those,
people
yeah.
goes out for Adsy's Bucks, and
Yeah.
then somebody from there. And so we've had a few of those, and it's just working on the corporate side of that also. But yeah, we'd love to get more vehicles, but it's just that demand that as soon as you get that third vehicle, again, it's
Yeah.
insurance and registration and having it wrapped and having all that. But we have had a lot of people say that they found us through seeing our van.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll literally just take the vans out and go cruise through Surfers and do laps of Surfers Paradise and just drive past, and you see a few people look up.
works
Most
for
people are just
politicians.
staring at their phones.
Yeah.
But you know, every once in a while you kind of slow down a little bit. You beat a stoplight or something and you see the car next to you looking, and
You need those
And then
fancy
tapping
air
and
horns.
looking. well, I wanted to do that, but I want to do it to the sound of a tinny cracking.
Okay, yeah.
So instead of playing the cucaracha, like you can hit
Yeah.
it and it just goes shh. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
how cool would that be? Because you hear a tinny
You can
cracking,
do
like,
that.
what is, it's the beacon. Where's the mothership?
That's possible. You can do that.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah,
I'm sure. It's
I've
just
done
one
that.
of
I used to do that.
the- Did you really?
I had
Of
it in
course
my
you did.
little car. Yeah. I used to play the ice cream music so
Yeah.
that everyone would see that, and then there'd just be me in my car driving
Yeah.
along. We just wave.
See, I think that's a great idea. Bit of
Yeah.
false advertising. No, we don't have ice cream.
Well, it is. Yeah, it
but
was.
Yeah.
What's been your greatest memory of doing this? Like you said, 9 years now. Like, what's your best memory that you go, if I could live that day every day doing this
You
job?
know, it sounds lame. I don't think I have just one, because we get so many great groups and so
Yeah.
many great people where you just get those jokes that last throughout the entire day.
Yeah.
You're laughing all the way home. You get home and you try and explain it to the other person.
Oh,
and
you
you're
had
like,
to
it's
be
not, that's really not that funny, is it? But it was great at the time. I think just, I love it because people are willing to be relaxed and to be open to try new things.
Yeah.
And that's the best. When you give them a beer that they are not expecting, and they go, that is amazing. That's the best thing I've ever tasted. When you know that you've converted somebody.
Yep.
God, in terms of, God, now that's really thrown me. We've just had so many really, really great days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say one of the things that I always reflect on is before we started, and like I said, we kind of wanted to be part of the cool kids group. Right?
Yep.
We wanted to be recognized. And I remember chatting to Matt, and we were like, wouldn't it be cool if we could go to a beer festival and know enough people that we got a few free beers, right?
Yeah.
Thinking just a couple free beers. Be careful what you wish for.
Ah,
Because the
yep.
first festival that we went to after we'd established the business and there was a lot of free beer. There was way too much free beer. We were hurting the next day. And it was absolutely amazing, and we felt loved, and we felt validated, and we felt seen, and we actually felt like we weren't imposters. I mean, I think we still suffer a bit of imposter syndrome.
Oh, well, that's all on you because
But
that's
it was
definitely not the case.
It was going to that festival and going, oh my God, like, people know who we are. And outside of that a little bit, and we were going to talk about it, I think, of getting into the awards, going to awards and doing all the volunteer stuff in the back and meeting with the judges at lunch times. And in my head, I'm still going, oh my God, that's so-and-so from a very well-established brewery, or that's this person. And going up, and I still remember there was one that I was like, oh, I'm Joslyn. And they looked at me and they go, yeah, I know who you are. You do? Because it was not a Queensland brewer. It was not somebody that I've ever sat and had a chat with kind of thing. And for them to actually go, oh yeah, you're Joslyn from Hop On Brewery Tours. Yeah. I was astounded.
They can probably hear you in Tasmania.
Well, I mean, probably. Yeah. That's fair. But that was one of those moments where I was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Like,
that's great.
That kind of recognition for somebody out of state. Yeah.
What's next for Hop On? Like, forget about like getting the people in and doing all of that stuff. What's your goal? Like, if you had unlimited like expectations and you could do whatever you wanted, what is it? A Hop On brewery in every state? Is it taking over the world? Is it having a fleet just in Queensland? Like, is it just being able to grow it and sell it and then go and live your beery lives hiking mountains?
Yes to all. No, I think the ultimate goal is to keep it running and keep it steady in Queensland. Go down to Tasmania, whether we live there or whether we just start it there.
Yeah.
I don't think every state. I think some states already have that covered. I don't think we need to go to Sydney or to Melbourne.
Yeah.
But Perth, Adelaide, Tassie, I think that we could absolutely expand into that. So I think, as somebody wise once told me, getting to the point where we are working on the business and not in the business, where it is coming up with those new concepts, those new ideas. Yeah. I think here in Queensland, it would be really great to become one of those top tourist attractions, to not be sidelined, to not be the 12th thing that you do on a list of things to the Gold Coast. It would be great to be up there with the likes of Crumb Wildlife and the theme parks and get to that point. We'll never do huge tours. Yep. Our goal is never to do 30, 40, 50 people tours. Yep. We love the intimacy of keeping it small. And it's the hardest thing to let go of. So as much as I say we love to expand, and sometimes we do need a break and want a break, handing that over to somebody else after we've spent 9 years building a reputation, building our relationships, building those friendships, and then being able to hand it over to somebody else, I think would be really challenging. Yeah. But if somebody has the right price tag and wants to just buy the vans and take over, I'm never going to say never. I don't think it's going to be forever. Like, let's be honest. It's tourism. It's hard work. Yeah. It can be exhausting. I don't see us leading the tours in 10 years. Yep. But I hope that Hop On still exists in 10 years. Yeah. The ultimate goal, not necessarily for the business for us, I would love somebody to come on tour who like produces TV shows and goes, you know what? You know, like Man vs. Food in America, where this guy goes around and just eats cheeseburgers everywhere? I want to do that for beer. Yeah. I want to go to
Ask Joel, there's a lot of back-end production there.
Oh,
That's like a whole...
I'm absolutely sure
that's a whole day to eat that cheeseburger.
But it's like, I want to go to the oldest, to the highest altitude, to the furthest north, to the furthest south, to the... I want to go to all of the, like, the nth degree of every brewery, right? Like, and that wasn't actually inspired. Sorry, you wanted a short answer, I'm sure, so you can get another beer.
Not at all. No, we're good.
We did a tour with Dave's Brewery Tours down in Sydney before we started, just to get an idea how they ran. And one of the stops was at a pub. And there are like 3 pubs in the Rocks in Sydney that all claim to be the oldest pub in Sydney, right? And they've got this dating back to whatever day, and they've got the deed signed here. And I love that there are pockets of that where even within Sydney, even within a 2-block range, there are people vying for this. Yeah. And be able to talk to the publicans and say, okay, well, what's the history? But do that on an international scale. Yeah. And go to, okay, well, this person claims they're the oldest, but this brewery is actually the oldest, or this is the longest running, Trappist brewery in Belgium, or things like that, that are outside of like the Cantillon and things that everybody knows. Because there is so much history in beer, and there's so much to learn, and there's so many techniques that aren't quite relevant to us, but I think that it would be so much fun to like travel and drink beer and talk about beer on somebody else's dime. That would be ideal. that would be the goal. That's what I'm hoping for. I feel like I'm probably too old and too American for that, but someday I'm hoping somebody will be like, you are just what we're looking for.
Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah.
Mate, well, thank you so much,
Thank
Josh,
you so
for coming
much.
along.
No, it's been fun.
Been
I
great.
could talk to you forever.
Yeah, Matt hates the camera, so
He doesn't hate it. He just he likes when I'm
he doesn't
in front
feel
of it
more
instead of
natural.
him. Yeah, no,
right?
that's
Because
exactly it.
you get Matt. I love talking to Matt.
Yeah.
Matt's fantastic, but yeah, he's just not a fan of talking on camera.
He knows when a camera is on here, so that's why he sent me to do this today.
That's all right.
Yeah,
It's been fun anyway.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
I'm gonna
much.
give you a hug, but cheers at empty
All right,
glass.
sounds good.